Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we're here with Synchro Spright? I know, kind of crazy, but level 100 Crobat came up with this weird amalgamation of cards that basically equivalates to making Baron on top of Spright combo. Here is the list. The level 100 Crobat was able to top a local or like a weekly tournament with this, so hey, well done. But yeah, let's just quickly do the card by card and the explanation. This is basically card for card of what they did, except for they were playing Downard to go into Zeus with an extra material. I don't find that very important. Instead, I play the out to Baguska, which they weren't, that being Codebreaker, Virus Swordsman. Yeah, Baguska's very good, and you don't really have an out to it outside of Codebreaker. So yeah, I play Codebreaker. Very, very strong. Moving on, let's do the quick card by card. Starting off with the hand traps, we're playing Gamma, 2 Gamma, and the Driver. We're playing Triple Crow, Triple Maxi, and on top of that, because they really hated Tier, they're also playing Silent Graveyard, which is a hilarious card. It's basically End of Anubis, kind of, but like worse. It's just, it's a card that exists. Discard a card, negate the effects in the graveyard, which turns off all of the tier cards, and it's a quick play, which means that if it's, if your opponent activates some tier cards on your turn, like they go for Havness or something like that, you can go and activate this card and turn it off. Or, you can set it for the following turn. Very good. Moving on, we have the pretty standard Spright numbers, that being the triple blue, the triple jet, the double red, and the 1 carrot. Pretty standard for that. We're also playing the double Spright starter and the 1 smashers. No Gamma Burst, which does matter. There were a lot of games where it's just like, oh, I just search Gamma Burst here and I win the game, but instead I'm not playing it because reasons. I hate it. It's just bad. Gamma Burst cleans up so many games. I know it's a brick, and I know it means that you're less likely to do your full combo through hand traps. The problem is you're already playing bullshit like Silent Graveyard. Just play Gamma Burst instead. It's so much better. It cleans out games so very easily and quickly. It's so very nice. Moving on, we're playing a whole bunch of other 2s as well. We're playing Triple Hyperia to draw us cards. We're playing Triple Assault Synchron to get us into those Synchro monsters. Now, notably, this card does special summon itself. You just special summon it, take 700, and you're good. It is an activated effect, so they can chain something like a Maxi to that, which is horribly frustrating. But on top of that, it does lock you into extra deck, into Synchro monsters while it's on the field. So do keep that in mind. You can't go into this if you're too locked, because then you're basically unable to summon anything from the extra. Very frustrating. I'm not a fan of this card, but it does provide a very interesting playstyle. Next up, we're playing a whole bunch of random like one-ofs, that being Hoppier Squadron, Cap Shell, the Melfies, the Melfie Catty and the Penny, and then of course Caliga Claw Crow as an additional special summon. And this one, along with the Hoppier Squadron, are both searchable off of Cupid Pitch, which we can summon because it's a 4, and it allows us to make additional monsters. Moving on to the rest of the cards, we're playing the 2 Triple Tactics, we're playing 2 E-Telly, we're playing, of course, the Silent Graveyard, we're playing the 2 Called By as well. Moving on to the extra deck, we're playing 1 Herald of Arclight, as well as the Merry Melfies with the Melfie package. That's mostly how you're going to be summoning that. We also have ourselves a Cupid Pitch, which you can summon it in order to go and modulate its level, increasing it to a 6, while also being able to search out either the Hop Ear or the Caliga Claw Crow, allowing you to then potentially special summon the Claw Crow to then go into your Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, which then also brings back the tuner to go into Baron. So basically what you're doing is you're climbing from 2 2s into a Cupid Pitch, which is then modulated to a 6, which then allows you to go with another 2 into the Excel Synchro, and then bring back another 2 in order to go into Baron. You're basically just climbing the ranks there in order to go into Baron, and hey, you end on a Baron on top of your regular plays. As for the rest of the extra, we're playing the 1 Melfie of the Forest, 1 Onibimaru, the double Gigantic. As I mentioned previously, we're not playing the Downard, we're instead playing Zeus. We're playing the 1 IP Masquerena, the Codebreaker, the out to Baguska, the double Elf, and the 1 Avermax. So that's the list. Let's hop into the duels and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going first, and hey, look at that, a pretty decent hand, all things considered, especially with triple tactics. We're gonna go with the Assault Synchron, and then just look at their hand and see what we can do. Hey, this hand doesn't do anything. So I'm gonna put back that Kelbeck, because if we do, yeah, this hand doesn't do anything, and we're just gonna proceed from there and be like, alright, out my one Bungus. We're also gonna set the Silent Graveyard and pass the turn. Hooray. I love Maxi. It's so cool. They draw into a Scream, and of course they did. And then they mill nothing because they're on bad cards. Love to see it. So they're going to attack in and just pass the turn. I'm still feeling pretty good, given the fact that we do have the Silent Graveyard as well as the blue. And, well, sometimes you draw into Driver. My opponent then mills 3 more cards, all of which don't do anything. Fantastic. Thank you, Scream, for milling so terribly. We're going to go and special summon the blue, grab up the red. We're going to special summon the red, and then link off into the Gigantic. We're going to go for the Gigantic. They're going to go for the Imperm, and I'm like, that's A-okay. We're then going to link off into the Elf, and then activate the Elf, bring back the Jet. Since we didn't activate the Jet effect, we now go for Starter, activate the effect of the Starter, grab up that Carrot, delicious Carrot, and then go for the Onibimaru. Onibimaru is then going to banish their Haveness until the next standby phase, or end phase or something like that. End phase, I believe. Yeah. Until the opponent's next end phase, we're just going to deal a bunch of damage and pass. We do have Elf as well as Silent Graveyard, and we know that their hand is pretty mid. We're going to go for the Elf here to grab back the red, and then they will grab their Keldo and grab Gravekeeper's Trap. I don't know why we're not grabbing Mudora here, but that's fine. That's normal. It's okay. Anyway, we're going to negate the Kelbeck effect with the Silent Graveyard. They're going to go normal summon Stein, to the which I will then negate it. And they're like, oh, I now have no life points, and I die, and I can't get over anything, and they have Elf, and what have I done? Whoops. And then they die. And they scoop. Cool. Good game. Alright, here we are once again going first, and hopefully this time we have better luck. So we did draw Hyperia and Assault Synchron. We're going to start with the Assault Synchron. It resolves. Fantastic. We're going to go for the Hyperia. And that is quite possibly the best draw in the deck. Fantastic. We're going to grab up the Jet off of that blue. Blue is then going to, Jet is then going to grab up the Starter. And then we're going to Synchro Summon into the Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch effect is going to then activate, increasing its level, to then go for the Excel Stardust. We're then going to activate the mandatory effective Cupid Pitch to search out the monster, and then bring back the Assault Synchron. We're going to special summon the Kaliga Claw Crow, which we searched, and then Synchro into Baron. Now we can go for the Gigantic, locking ourselves into a 2. That's also why we haven't activated the Spright Starter. We're then going to go for the Cap Shell, which then draws us a card, which by going into the Elf. Then we can go for the Emergency Teleport to bring out the Gamma that we just drew off of the Cap Shell, bring back the Cap Shell because it's funny, and then go into Melfi of the Forest. Activate the effect of Melfi of the Forest, detaching a card in order to grab up the Caddy. Then we can go for the Spright Starter, locking us into 2s, but more importantly, going into IP Masquerena. We're going to set one and pass, and go and activate the Caddy in the end phase. So, what we have here is IP Masquerena, Elf to bring back something like a red or a blue or something along those lines. We have a Baron, we have Called By, and of course, we also have the Cockroach. Feeling good. They're going to go main phase 1. They are going to pitch a card. They are going to send the Sulliak. Hey, look, it's Tier. We're going to go and activate the effect of our Elf in order to grab up the red. They're going to go DD Crow, and I'm going to go, okay. The reason for that, I'd much rather keep the Baron negate. It is more important than anything that the red could do. So, there you go. And I also want to keep the Called By because it's like, well, that's just better as well. Anyway, they're going to go for the Mudora. We're going to go and activate the Penny here and special summon it in order to go for Herald of Arclight. They're then going to normal summon Rhinoheart with no effect. They're just like, nah, no effect. They then try to go to battle phase, to the which I will then go for the Avermax, to the which they will go Baguska, and I'm like, okay, that's totally fine, dude. I think I still win here. It's a very winning position for me, especially with that draw. But honestly, that draw didn't matter. They're on 1 card, and none of their cards are going to do anything. It's the crime, cool, doesn't really matter. We have 2 Called Bys, a Herald of Arclight, which means all of their cards that would be sent from the deck to the graveyard are now banished instead. We have an Avermax, which is like nigh impossible to out, and a Baron. There's nothing that they can really do. They're gonna normal summon a Mudora and just stare at me, and I'm like, okay, cool, dude, like, whatever. Time to die to Maxi. I'm gonna pop their monster, they're gonna banish it, and shuffle back all of my Melfis, which is just so very kind of them. Now I can just go and do the whole Melfi line again. So that's very funny. I'm going to switch everything to attack position and punch in for well over lethal. Good game. Alright, so that's how our deck is supposed to work, but what happens when we go second? against Shifter. Now, notably, this deck actually has a much harder time against Dimension Shifter and against Graveyard Hate strategies, and that is mostly due to the fact that you actually do need to kind of send your stuff to the graveyard. Things like Cupid Pitch really rely on being able to go to the graveyard. If the Synchro Summon card is sent to the graveyard, then you can do stuff. Assault Synchron, special summons from the graveyard. So, like, that entire half of your extra deck is just kind of turned off. So now we're down to like half an extra deck, and half of our cards are just worse, significantly. So let's see what we can do here. My opponent is on Stun? Oh, Metal Reflex Line, sure. Outcomes to Dimensional Fissure. Yeah, this is Stun. This is Stun. This is Stun. Let's see what we can do here. We're going to go for the Assault Synchron. That resolves. Okay, Kaliga Claw Crow. We're going to special summon the Jet. They're going to go for Metal Reflex Slime. I don't know why we're doing this, but sure. Okay. We're going to go and link off for Merry Melfies. Sorry, Synchro off for Merry Melfies. Merry Melfies is a generic level 4, which is crazy. Also, you just bounce a monster. We're just put that crap back in your hand. We're going to go for the blue here off of the starter. We're going to grab up the carrot here. And then we're going to go and special summon the carrot and special summon the jet. I don't think I could have gotten lethal here because, again, we're not playing Gamma Burst. Had I had Gamma Burst, this game was well over. They're going to go for the evenly matched during the end phase. I'm just going to banish the level 4 because I don't need it. And out comes the Gigantic. We're going to activate the Gigantic effect in order to go for the Hyperia, grab up the Hop Ear Squadron, and then go for Melfi of the Forest. Kind of weird, but trust. We're going to grab up the Caddy here, and now we have the Hop Ear and the Caddy. We're going to special summon out the Caddy and pass the turn. We do have the Carrot as well, which is kind of what I'm banking on. I'm like, I want as many cards as we can get. I'm actually going to negate this Pot of Prosperity because I'm like, I know one of the cards in your hand. The other card, this card, was just not something that they were able to activate. So the last card in hand better be something absolutely incredible. They're going to set a card. I'm going to then go into Herald of Arclight. Realistically, they're not going to summon a monster, so I should have gone and used the Caddy instead of the Carrot. But alas, I am bad and used the Carrot. So, oops, my bad. That's fine. It doesn't matter. We're still going to win. We draw into Smashers, which is actually very good because we do happen to have a Jet in the graveyard. How did that Jet get there? We detached it off of Gigantic, which was then able to go to the graveyard thanks to... or even under the Fissure. We're going to go for the blue here. We're going to activate the effect. We're also going to activate the effect of the Caddy, which... because they special summon the Metal Reflex Line. So now we can grab up the Penny. We're going to go for the Jet here. We're going to grab up the starter. It doesn't really matter. We can now go for the Onibimaru. Onibimaru's effect is going to then activate, and we're going to banish that card, and then proceed to the battle phase, which we have, again, well over lethal. Cool, cool. We even had a negate for that back row in case it happened to be like Mirror Force or something like that. But alas, there you go. Good game. All right, we're back with the deck, and in all honesty, is this deck worth it? Not really. It's very high roll. If you are wanting to just like win more against decks, this is a very like high roll build. But the thing is, you can also build a more like a mid-range deck with the Spright that still does like pure Spright stuff, but more heavily relies on like Mannequin Cat and stuff like that. That I just feel is a better end board most of the time. Sure, ending on Baron is very strong, and being able to go into Synchro plays more consistently is also very nice, but it also cuts your extra deck quite a bit by having to play things like the Excel Synchron, as well as the Cupid Pitch. Those are two spots that you could play additional tech cards in, like for example Mannequin Cat, or Underworld Goddess, or, you know, etc, etc. Right. So all in all, it's just like, is it worth the inclusion of the Synchros? Probably not. But I think the biggest gripe that I have with this is not playing Gamma Burst or even Pixies. I think either one of those would be very helpful just to help you OTK. That was like the biggest issue that I found was like most of my games, it was if I am able to play the game and actually like, you know, my hand isn't just stopped because I don't really have access to any of my you know, there's like Graveyard Hate or something like that, so I can't really do anything with my Synchro plays, or like I happen to draw one of my many bricks. It's like, well, I at least got to play the game. Now I can't hit over my opponent's board. So going second, it was very frustrating because it's like, okay, my opponent has a monster with 3,000 defense. I cannot out that. Cool. Fantastic. Anyway, so yeah, that was my biggest gripe with it, but you know, you throw in a Gamma Burst and you take out Silent Graveyard because it's honestly not all that great. And you're off to the races. So there you go. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.